Hey everybody, Lindsay here, and this is my review for Pearl. Most of you know I went and saw X when it first came out. I did a review on that. If you haven't seen that, you can check it out here. And after the credits rolled, we got this surprise trailer for a secret prequel that was already shot and in the can, tracking the character of Pearl and how she came to be Pearl. And I was super excited to see it because you could tell it was a completely different style and genre mashup than X was. It was doing its own thing. It's written by Ty West and Mia Goth and directed by Ty West. It's set in 1918 during World War I and also the Spanish influenza pandemic, and those both play a big role in the film. And the basic storyline is we meet Pearl and we find out what her life was like on the farm, how controlling and smothering her mother can be, and she just feels trapped and she wants to get out because she is a star and everybody's gonna know her name. Right away with the opening credits, it's just incredible. It's this big, sweeping Technicolor, golden age of Hollywood intro with how the credits are done and the credit sequence, and the color palette is so rich and vibrant in this movie. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I liked, and then we'll get into spoilers, because there's some detail stuff that I really want to talk about. But my overall thoughts, again, I love the style. There's such great dark humor in it. The acting is so well done. Mia Goth is just incredible in this. I mean, I liked her in X a lot, but she's even better in this movie. She has a monologue about 3/4 of the way through the film, and it's just the camera on her. A long take, minutes go by, and it's her doing this monologue, and she's crying, and then she's going through so many emotions during this monologue, and the camera is just held and fixed upon her, and she fucking nails it. I thought there was a little bit of pacing issues towards the beginning. We spend a lot of time on the farm at the beginning, but it's almost done purposefully because we as the audience can feel what Pearl is feeling, like we just want to get the fuck off this farm. And we do for a little bit. And there's so many allusions to the Wizard of Oz in this film with some of the shots, some of the angles of the camera, a very interesting scene with a scarecrow. But this is another in just the great, crazy, batshit genre horror that we've got this year. It's a great time for horror again. All right, we're gonna get into spoilers now, so if you have not seen the film, skip to this time code.
I want to be loved from as many people as possible. But truth is, I'm not really a good person.
All right, let's talk some spoilers. Like I said, I was very excited for this film, and it kind of follows the pacing of the first one, where it takes a while for us to get into the real nitty-gritty gore and the murders and the killing. But each one of them is the way it's done, especially once she fully transforms and she's got that red dress on. It's like Cinderella, you know, in her ball gown, just going around stabbing people with a pitchfork or attacking them with an axe. The way it's done is just incredible. And I also love that, as in X, we get another tie-in to pornography. Pearl loves the movies. She loves to go see the dancing shows at the theater. And this is the time of the Spanish influenza. Her father has been ravaged by it. He's an invalid. He can't speak, he can't move, and she's tasked with taking care of him. She has so much on her plate. Her husband is away at war, waiting for him to come back, and he was supposed to be her ticket out of there, and then he went off to war. So she just feels very trapped and very alone. and she goes into town on her bicycle to get her father's medicine, which is a bottle of morphine. You could just go buy it at the drugstore back then. Whole bottle of morphine. And she takes the change from that transaction and goes to see a Follies show, a dancing show at the movie house. And silent film. And as she's leaving, she runs into the projectionist in the hallway. And this character is very interesting because he represents and kind of, he fills her head with a lot of fairy stories about, oh, I'm a bohemian and we're going to go to Europe and you can just pick up and go whenever you want. And this is where we get the introduction of the pornography, because he's got a stag film that he shows Pearl later in the movie, and he's like, you could be in one of these. Because she wants to be a dancing girl, but but he's got other ideas. And there's a whole discussion about the legality of them, and that in Europe it's much more accepted, and these are shot over there, that kind of stuff. And so I love that parallel with X, where we're keeping that tie between horror and pornography. And getting to Mia Goth's performance, she is gleefully unhinged in this movie, where her character in X, Maxine, is a little more realistic, I think. I mean, she wants to be a star too, and she wants everyone to know her name, but she's not a psychopath. At least not on the level of Pearl. And throughout this film, we get to see her slowly become completely detached from reality. And in the conversation, in that final confrontation with her mother before she sets her on fire accidentally, from what her mother says in that scene, we get the picture that Pearl's always been a little different. Always been a little scary. And her mother says to her, you can only keep it together for so long before people are going to realize what kind of person you really are. That you're nuts. And also during this scene, we get a little insight into what's going on with the mom and why she's such a bitch all the time. She just unloads on Pearl in this scene, and we see earlier in the film that the mother has all these beautiful dresses that are brightly colored, but they're shut away, and Pearl isn't allowed to play with them or put them on or mess with them in any way. They've been put away. And during this dinner confrontation, she unloads, and she talks about dealing with her husband in the state that he's in, and she goes, I was supposed to be his wife, not his caretaker. And you can feel the frustration. It's the same frustration that Pearl feels. The mother feels trapped there by the circumstances. She had a whole different picture of what her life was going to be. And it was that way for a little while. And then her husband got sick, and now she is shackled there and no longer able to be the person that she was or wanted to be. And she she projects that on Pearl. And so I love how the women in all of these films are feeling these same types of feelings. We have Pearl's mother, we have Pearl, and then we have Maxine, where they just want to break free, but they feel trapped by one circumstance or another. Whether it's your husband is an invalid and there's a pandemic going on and a war, or your husband went to war and you have to take care of your invalid father, and your mother is a bitch all the time. Or it's because you're trapped on a farm with a homicidal granny. And that part is where we get this break, where she just goes completely off the rails. And she's going to run away with the projectionist. But when she brings him back to the farm, he's starting to see what Pearl's mother was talking about. That this girl, something's a little off. So he's trying to get out of there, and she sees that, oh, he doesn't like me very much anymore. So she so she stabs him multiple times with a pitchfork. And it's a little sympathetic, that whole scene in the barn where she's introducing her animals and talking about how she dances for them and she's got to get ready for this audition and she's never danced in front of, real people. It's her just being herself and opening up to him, and she has this innocence about her because the only life she's known has been on this farm and what she sees in the movies that she sneaks off to. She doesn't get out much, so she doesn't have a full grasp of what the real world is like, and this guy does. And so she's just kind of this, she has this wide-eyed wonder about her through a lot of the movie, and it's endearing. It draws you to that character. And I love the sequences where we're in her fantasies. The dance audition where the lights come up and all of a sudden she's in this dance review with props and pyrotechnics and backup dancers behind her. It just conveys so well how much she doesn't understand about what's going on, because this is a little audition for a little touring church company. They're going to go to 7 cities in Texas, and she thinks this is her ticket out. Like, if she gets this spot, if she gets picked at this audition, her entire life is going to change, and she's going to be one of those girls up on the screen. So when they say no, all that is ripped from her. And then we get to the monologue that I was talking about, and I could not take my eyes off of her. I was leaning forward in my seat, just hanging on every word and every little tiny change of expression and where her eyes were moving. It was just incredible because her sister-in-law, her husband's sister, who the husband is away at the war, she sits Pearl down and is like, "What's the matter? Talk to me like I'm my brother. Tell me what's going on. What is bothering you?" And Pearl just unloads everything, every little feeling and thought that she has had, whether understandable or relatable or completely psychopathic. She dumps her purse out completely. And I read in an interview with Ty West that that was such a hard scene to shoot because it's such a long take. Like, anything could go wrong and fuck this thing up, and they got to start over again. They got to make sure that no one's phone is going to go off, that no walkie-talkie is going to go off, that everyone is set and ready, and nothing is going to go awry. And he said they did it like 6 or 7 times, and they used like the 4th take, and that every time that she just nailed it. And it was, at that point, it was almost like you were watching a play. Because when you go to watch a play, there's no cutting away, there's no take 2. It's just the person is out there delivering their lines, and if they don't nail it, then there goes the show. And she nailed it. And again, at the end, we get the wonderful Golden Age Technicolor musical ending credits, because her husband comes back from the war and walks in to her 2 dead parents propped up at the kitchen table and this rotting pig carcass on the table, and she comes in and she has got this she has got this grotesque grin on her face with her eyes wide, and she holds that through the entire credit sequence, and tears are streaming down her face, but she's got this big smile, and it you can see where it goes from there to get to where we see this couple again in X. But we get that same style of credits, and the music is wonderful in this, and I just loved it. It was so good. So good and so original. And then, after the credits are over, we get another teaser trailer for the 3rd movie in the trilogy. Yes, a trilogy. The next one is called Maxine, with 3 X's, and it takes place in the 80s in LA. We follow the character of Maxine from X to see where she has ended up several years later in LA and what's going on with that. And I loved the trailer. When it first dropped, I watched it like 10 times because I love the song in it. It's got that VHS aesthetic that I love. And I was just super excited that they were doing another one. And it's another time period, it's another place, and there's so much that they can draw from, and I can't wait to see the style that they do go with for this film and where the character of Maxine is now. And then a couple days after that, I stumbled across that A24 and Ty West are doing a contest for extras in Maxine, and they want you to film a recreation of a scene from X. It's a specific scene. It's the confrontation between Maxine and Pearl at the end, when she finally kills her. And they want you to recreate that, post it on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok, I think, and use a specific hashtag, and it has to be up by September 28th to be considered. And I'm fucking doing it. I'm going to try. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and see what happens. So stay tuned for that because that'll be coming soon. I'll be shooting that this weekend. Hopefully I do a good job. And we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be in Maxine. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool. Alright, that is going to do it for this little review of Pearl. I'm just loving everything that Ty West is doing with this trilogy, and Mia Goth as well, because she's very involved with the writing, at least of Pearl. I don't know about Maxine, but she is a key figure in this trilogy. She is definitely the figurehead of it and the star of it. So until next time, this is Lindsay signing off. I'll check you later.